What's up, everybody? We're back. We're going to call some PPL, but today you're not going to be hearing from me. You're going to be hearing from Ryan Binion, an amazing guy in my community who went from a broke wholesaler to discovering PPL, pay per leads, and then closing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I don't even know how many deals he has now from PPL. He is a master of PPL, but what I love is he was just in your shoes a few months ago. So he's going to go through what PPL is, his exact script that has helped him make tens of thousands of dollars, and then he's going to get on the phone and actually cold call and show you how it's done. So everybody, I want to introduce you to, well, that's me, but to Ryan Binion. What's up, Ryan?
What's up?
All right. The man of many words. And then we also have a special guest appearance from one of my partners at my company, Tony. So he'll be joining us shortly as well. So with all that being said, Ryan, what the heck is PPL? How did you go from a broke wholesaler to absolutely killing it? And then what is your script? And then hit the phones and show us how it's done.
Well, PPL is basically just a company that does advertising, some sort of website, for example, property leads or ISpeedToLead. They'll do like either Google ads, Facebook ads, usually some type of inbound marketing. And then you'll go on their website and then you'll just buy the lead. So they're usually doing it across the country so that they're able to get a cheaper cost per lead. And then they'll sell it to someone like me for a little bit more so that they can make money. But it still makes sense for me, because if I was going to, for example, do Google ads in Dallas, I'm sure it'd be at least $250, $500 per lead. And the other thing is they offer refunds on the lead. So with property leads, I think I spent last month like $7,000 or something. And this month I got a refund of like $2,000. So that's basically, I'm using that as my marketing budget for this month, just all the refunds that I got. It's the same thing with ISpeedToLead. And most of the other companies, they give a lot of refunds. If the lead doesn't answer after you tried to call them multiple times and they just never answer the phone, you can get a refund. If it's listed with a realtor, you get a refund. If it's a mobile home, you get a refund. I mean, you get refunds on all sorts of stuff. It basically has to be a single family home that's off market and they want to sell. So then it's just your job to close them. Refund. How do you get a refund? So how you get a refund, for example, on ISpeedToLead.
I can open it up for you here, right here. So we're on ISpeedToLead.
Maybe I'll share my screen. I don't know.
Look at my screen. We're on ISpeedToLead. Ryan.
Yeah.
So where would we go? So you're primarily using ISpeedToLead. I use ISpeedToLead. We really like it here in the wholesalers. But like, where would you go to get a refund? You buy a lead. It's not a great lead. How would you go about it?
Okay, go to your CRM on the side.
Yep.
Go on the first lead, details.
So I bought this lead. I paid probably like $30 for this lead. It was a cheap lead. But let's say it's a bad lead. I want a refund.
You go to the bottom. And then you should see, I need help from support team. There you go.
Then you just put your information in and then they'll refund you guys. It's that easy.
Yeah.
So make sure to work with a good PPL company. We like ISpeedToLead here. So Ryan, you explain what PPL is, but like, how has it been working for you? I mean, you've tried calling, you've tried texting, you've tried, door knocking, but like, how has PPL been working for you? How much money have you made from PPL?
How much money have I made so far? I think so far I've made,
You still have deals that are set to close, so it's always tough.
I mean, I would say probably 40,000, and you guys probably made 40,000 as well, because you guys just split them. I'd say so far. And then there's I have like 5 deals pending with a buyer right now, or like 4 deals pending with a buyer right now. So, and then, I mean, I did 6 months of research basically before I started, but it's only really been like 4 months where it's like I've gotten a deal and I'm focusing on one market and I'm like advertising, so it hasn't really been that long. The first month was basically the $1,500 I made on this tiny deal. The next month, it was like a $10,000 deal. I think I got $5,000 out of that. And then next month was like a 17, or it was a 35K deal. I got 17, you guys got 17. And then the month after that, there was like a land deal and this other deal that I got. So 2 deals I closed. So each month it seems to have exponential growth, which is all I really care about.
Gotcha. Okay. So you're buying leads. Give me an idea. What type of leads are you buying? So if we flip over to ISpeedToLead, right, you can go in and then you can be buying, sale leads, right? You can buy exclusive leads. You can buy active leads. They can range from $27 to $300+. What type of leads are you mostly buying? And then how much are you spending on PPL every single month?
I'm spending a lot. But I'm in terms of the types of leads that I'm buying. I mean, a lead is just somebody that says, I want to sell my home. That's all a lead is. The only thing that differs in the quality of the lead is, for example, somebody that just filled out a form in the past 5 minutes saying, I want to sell, and then you're the first one to call that person. That's probably the hottest lead that you can get because it's new. No one's called it, and they just decided that I want to sell right now. So that's like the hottest lead. And you're going to pay more for that. That's going to be anywhere from like $150 to $200 for like an exclusive lead that hasn't been contacted by anybody. So yeah, that's the type of leads that I like buying, because with those you can close like, 1 in 10 or 1 in 15 of them, but it's going to cost you more. If it's costing, $150 per lead, then you're going to spend $1,500 per contract. If it's costing you $250 per lead, then you're going to be spending, $2,500 or more per contract. And that doesn't guarantee that they're going to close either, but it's still a pretty good price. I think last month I spent $5,000 and I got like 10 contracts. So as you slowly buy leads, you maybe in the beginning you might be like, oh, I'm not getting anything. But then once you've kind of built up some leads and you're following up with them every day, or every few weeks or so, you'll notice all of a sudden, like every few months, as you're buying more and more leads, you'll be getting more and more deals. You'll get deals from the previous month that are finally ready to sell and finally ready to move forward. And then you'll get the deals that just came in and are now ready to close right now that you just bought. So I buy sales status leads, but with the sales status leads, you're going to have to buy a lot of them because they've been contacted before. Someone's already contacted that person and offered them something and they said no. So you basically have to outperform whoever that previous person was somehow. Now it could be the fact that, for example, I had this land deal that we were working on and it was 3 lots. He wanted 95K to 100K for it. I got him to 95. But he had like 4 other people that contacted him and none of them got it under contract. None of them wanted it. But then we were able to put that out to buyers at like 150K because we saw we were able to see the value in it that other people couldn't see. So I still think they're really valuable, even the sales status ones. But in general, you're going to have to buy a lot more of them. I would say you're going to have to buy anywhere from 25 to 50 of them, the sales status ones, before you get a contract, which if you do the math, let's see what that is. If you have Coupon Club and they're 29 times 50, that's around $1,400 per contract. That's still an insanely good price in Dallas. Still only spend $1,400 for a contract in Dallas. That's a really good price. A lot of people that are doing Google ads are spending like $5,000. So you're getting it for way cheaper. I'll also buy exclusive leads on ISpeedToLead. I try to buy different packages from them because when you buy packages from them, then you can often get them cheaper. So you can sometimes get exclusive leads for less money. And then oftentimes they'll give you like a bonus balance where you have like a certain amount extra to buy sales status leads as well. So I would take advantage of the discounts that they give and the bonuses they give. Sometimes they'll email you and they'll be like, all leads 80% off.
Yeah.
And that's when I'll use my balance to start buying a whole bunch of them.
Gotcha. So guys, sum it all up. The best way to get started is to like grab those sales leads. When there's a sale, just get on there. Start with the cheap leads, get comfortable on the phone. That's the reason why I like on market or I like for sale by owner. It's such an easy place just to get comfortable on the phone. And then you're using those sales leads, you're getting comfortable. And once you're at least confident on the phones, then start investing in yourself a little bit more. Start buying those active leads, start buying those exclusive leads. Sure, they're more money, but you'll actually make more money in the long term. So you could buy, 50, 70 sale leads and you may not close a deal. Maybe you'll close 5, but you may not. But that's okay. You would have done so good on the phones. And then eventually, once you feel confident, once you're like, okay, I'm a killer, I'm a Ryan, I'm a Max, I'm ready to go, then you can start to spend a little bit more money. So this is what I love about this is you can progress up. And you saw Ryan's progress. And that's what I want to, really highlight here is Ryan was just in most of your guys' shoes a few months ago. And now he's extremely knowledgeable in this and he's closing deals. So Ryan, before we get going on, your script, I'm gonna have Tony jump in here real quick. He's driving, but he wanted to say something. So Tony's my partner at RFP Homes. Is my volume a bit low today, guys? I can raise it. So let me know if that's better. So yeah, just keep me posted, Sean. Thank you for that. All right, here I'm gonna add Tony in. What up, Mr. Driver?
What's up, guys? How you doing?
Howdy. Hey, it's going well. So what do you have to announce, sir?
Oh, well, the announcement will come here in a second.
Okay.
Gonna build up a little bit of suspense, but yeah, thanks for having me on, Ryan. I know we had a chat this morning, man, but just for everyone out there, another big thing about Ryan is when he was in Dallas with us for a few weeks, like working with us, like hand in hand, basically. I mean, we can talk about he's the best guy on the phone and this and that and this and that. But at the end of the day, he absolutely outworked every single person in that office. I think you were first one in, last one out. You brought your own little setup in there all day long, following up with investors and with these homeowners. And guys, when I did DTS, I mean, a lot of times I would find leads that have already been raked through other people. That's not necessarily a bad thing because they might have said no back then, but now they might be interested, right? And it's really just really a matter of making sure that you're consistently following up with these people. You don't know what their situation is. If they wanted to sell 6 months ago and they wouldn't sell for 180, right now they might want to sell, right? So it's just important to just continue pounding these leads regardless of where you get them from. But with that being said, so Ryan, obviously, when you came on with us, how many deals? You hadn't closed a single deal, is that right?
Yeah, I haven't when I first came to you guys, yeah.
Yeah, there was 0 deals. And I mean, how many have you done now? Probably like closer to 10, and you probably have a few more that we're waiting on closing on. Ish.
I don't even know how many. I think at least 1, 2, 3, 4. I'd say maybe 5 or 6 of them, but then I have I think 5
on
pending
the board
right now.
Yeah. Yeah, and then they're gonna get closed. We just got to get them through the title issues. But because Ryan's done so much with us, we actually were able to uncover a DTS account that we didn't even realize we had, with about $3,500 worth of free credits in there. And so Ryan today, obviously, I mean, I called him and I was like, look, dude, like by and far, you are, someone that's put your nose down. You've worked your ass off. You've come all the way from Canada to Texas, literally lived with Max to make your dream come true. You've made enough money in these 5 deals to basically supplement a normal salary for 90% of people in the world. And, you've done all of this through, just pure hard work. So it was a no-brainer for who we would give these leads to. But it kind of got me thinking. And I was like, you know what? I would love to have something where the top person every single month in the wholesalers Discord, in the community, gets some free PPL leads that are going to be paid by RFP Homes. So I just want to put that out there in the air. If you're watching this video and you're like, I don't have enough money for PPL leads, that's fine. That's fair enough. There are other ways to do it, although that is the best way in all of our opinions to be successful in this industry. But now, if you do end up getting the most amount of units with us in 1 month, you might position yourself to get a pretty substantial amount of money that the company will actually sponsor for you to get some PPL leads. So anyway, Ryan, I after our conversation, I was like, you know what? Let's make this a monthly thing instead of a once in a blue moon kind of thing. So, Max, I haven't talked to you about this yet,
I
but
didn't even know about it. Luckily, you run finances, so I don't get to
yeah,
say
I'm
yes or
I'm the
no.
CFO guy, and the numbers made sense. So,
So, dude, $3,500 a lead is crazy.
yep, yep. And
Oh,
Ryan,
that's
he got
sick.
that for free because I mean, and again, some people are going to say, well, I deserve that, I deserve this, whatever. No one has outworked him, and quite frankly, if everyone just kind of put the amount of effort and work that he's put into this, I really think you can all get very similar success. So, Ryan, thank you for inspiring people and actually being someone that we can kind of point the finger to and be like, look, it's not like this guy's some fucking, the next Albert Einstein, right? Like we're all just normal dudes that are just trying to
Yeah.
make this work, right? And that's what everyone is as well. So, hell of a job, brother. Just wanted to hop on and just give you a little shout out.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thanks, Tony. I appreciate it. Well, have
Cool.
fun with your drive. Ryan, you ready to tell everyone the secret script?
There's not much of a script. It's just a conversation that I have with these people.
You give me
But
some tips, though, like how you
yeah,
do
I'll
it.
give them some tips.
Okay. All right. Give me some tips. Give us the rundown on the script, and then I want to see you start calling.
Okay. So basically, what I'm doing is you want to just have a normal conversation, but you also want to guide the phone call. Like you don't want to call and just be like, "Hey, this is Ryan. Like, how are you doing today?" And just like have like you don't want to have just like a random call like that. So usually when I call them, I'll be like, I'll either sound confused or I'll be like, "Hey, this is Ryan. I'm looking to speak to the homeowner, or is this Deborah?" And they'll be like, "Oh yeah, this is Deborah." I'll be like, "Hey, Deborah, this is Ryan with, need to sell my house fast, or Dallas TLC Home Buyers." You can just make up a company if you want. I mean, I have my own company now, which is Dallas TLC Home Buyers. And I'll be like, "I'm calling in regards to the property on 123 Main Street. It looks like you filled out your information to get an offer on the property. Are you still interested in selling?" Because you want to know if they are still interested in selling. If they aren't interested in selling, then obviously just move on to the next person. There's no point in having a conversation with somebody that doesn't want to sell. Usually they'll be like, "Yeah, I talked about it and I'm thinking about it, blah, 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 blah." And then what I'll do is I'll ask them for permission to have the conversation basically. So I'll be like, "Okay, I have a few questions about the property. Do you have 30 seconds so I can ask you a few questions?" And they'll say yes. And what I find that does is that mentally prepares them that I'm not just going to brush this guy off. I'm at least going to hear what he has to say and answer a few questions about the property. So I kind of like ask their permission. And then I'll just ask some basic questions like, what's the square footage? How many bedrooms? How many bathrooms? Because oftentimes that information could be incorrect. And after that, I'll ask them, what can you tell me about the property? Because they might tell you all sorts of things. Like I don't necessarily say, what's the condition of the property? I might, but I normally just say, what can you tell me about the property in general? And then I'll just go silent. And sometimes they'll take a minute to think about it. And then they might start telling you all sorts of things. Like it might be completely nothing to do with the house. It might just be their situation. Like, "Oh, well, I really need money and the property needs a ton of work. And, my mother passed away and I inherited the property. And then now I'm wanting to sell." And, they might go off on a tangent about information. And the reason I ask that question is because I want them to just start talking. And while they're talking, what I'm doing is I'm looking at the address. I'm copy and pasting the zip code into Redfin. Now, I don't usually use Redfin to get a really accurate ARV, but it might be able to get me one really quickly just to kind of roughly see what properties are selling for. And then I'll ask them, how much are you looking to get for the property? Because I want to know if they're even remotely close to where I'm going to be at. if I'm searching up properties and I look at the zip code and properties in that area are selling for 200,000, and this person's like, oh, I want 200,000 or I want 300,000. Mentally, I've already kind of separated myself a little bit from the phone call. I'm like, it might not work out. So at least I know, okay, we're not even really close to making something work. I'll still continue with the phone call and pitch them and run the ARV and everything. But I really do want to know in terms of pricing where they're at. So for example, if it's the property's listed at 200,000, or sorry, it's after repair values roughly around 200,000, or even if Zillow says it would go for 200,000 and they're like, I want 100,000. I know that the number's way lower than Zillow without even comping it. So I'm already like, okay, this is probably either a deal or very close. We might be off by 10, 20,000, but it's very close to being a deal. So as soon as I hear the price being somewhat reasonable, then I'm like all in on the call. And I'm like, now it's time to perform and do the best job that you can. So then at that point, now I start asking a ton of questions. So you want to ask questions like, why do you want to sell right now? Have you used a real estate agent, or have you considered using a real estate agent? Like, why not list the property? Or I'll ask them questions like, are you ready to make a decision today? Like, if we agree on price, are you willing to move forward today? And they might say yes. And then might ask them, well, do you have an email? Because if I'm going to do it over the phone and I'm going to send DocuSign, I want to know if I have to send someone in person or if I can get this done on the call right now. So I'll be like, oh, do you have an email? And then I'll just ask a whole bunch of questions like, why do you want to sell? If we were to move, like if you're going to move, how long do you want to close? Do you want to close in 30 days? Do you have a place that you're going to move to? I mean, you just really want to uncover like every little thing about the person. And as you're asking those questions, you'll notice that the seller will give away more information. They're not just going to be like, okay, I'll move in 10 days. We're good. Like, they'll give you more information and kind of let you know more stuff. But you slowly want to move the conversation in terms of like, timeline of selling, how much they want, if they want to, move forward right away, the pricing, and then slowly move it to, okay, if we got this done today, are you willing to move forward? So you kind of get that commitment that, okay, if we did agree on price, they would move forward today. You kind of move on to the condition and the condition of the property. Then you're looking at the comparables, and then you might make them an offer if you think that they're somewhat close. Now, when I'm giving them an offer, it's really, really important to not just be like, hey, so based on the comparables and everything selling in the neighborhood, I'm going to have to be at 100,000. If you do that, one of two things is going to happen. So either they're going to say yes, or they're going to say, F off, or no, there's no way. It's either one or the other. So they're either going to be mad and not like you, or they're going to accept it, which oftentimes they're going to be mad. Even if they do eventually accept it, they're going to be mad, and you don't want them to kind of blame you for the low offer. So what I will say when I'm making an offer to somebody is I'll be like, I've seen investors in this area. So say, for example, the property is 200,000 after repair value, and I want it, it's in South Dallas, and I want it at 75,000. And he said that he wanted 100,000 or 110,000. What I would say is, okay, no problem. Your price does seem somewhat reasonable, but I've seen investors in that area with the exact same properties. They are normally paying anywhere from, 60 to 75,000 in that area. Now, I would be on the higher end of that. I might be able to come up to possibly 75 if we can get this done today, kind of thing. And I would cover all closing costs, and there'd be no realtor commissions. What would you think about that? So when I say that, what I'm trying to accomplish is basically give them like a low anchor, like a low number, like, oh, investors are paying like 50 to 70. So it's like, okay. And then I'm telling them I would pay on the higher end of that, so it makes your offer seem more reasonable, and then say that you're covering closing costs and there's no realtor commissions. So it's just like little subtle things that make it feel like you're giving a good offer. Investors are paying lower, you're willing to pay a little bit more. Little things like that make a big difference, because even if they're angry at the number, they can't say that that's a completely unreasonable offer if investors are paying like 50 to 60 or 70K in that area. Or sometimes I just won't even give them an offer. I'll just be like, hey, the people are paying 50 to 60K. What do you think about that? And they might be like, oh, that's unacceptable. And I'd be like, okay, well, you want 110K, investors are paying 50 to 60K. Where can we meet in the middle to make this work? And they might be like, oh, well, the lowest I would take is 90. And I'd be like, okay, well, if I was able to offer $80,000, I was able to cover all closing costs and there was no realtor commissions and we could close in 10 days. Can you work with me a little bit? And they might be like, yeah, okay, sounds good. And then if they don't like the offer at all, then you just follow up with them. Just keep following up. That's all I got to say about my pitch as of right now.
Dude,
I could go into it for a long time.
that was amazing. That was so many good tips right there. Thank you. If you guys have questions, feel free to drop it in there. But yeah, I mean, I think now that you've given everyone, honestly, the script and exactly what they need to do, then you should be able to hop on the phone and show them how it's done. I'm really looking forward to your intro. Because I always jump on, Mr. Confident Max, always happy, like, yeah, what's up? I'm Max. I sort of sound like your typical annoying salesperson, but you have a totally different approach, which works well for you. So, yeah, I'm excited. Olivia said, both of my PPLs just told me to go pound sand on my prices. Is it even worth calling them if they are unreasonable on price? I have my answer to that, but I'll let you answer that.
I mean, I would. Well, I mean, it depends how you pitched it. He told you to go pound sand on your prices. Is it even worth calling them if they're unreasonable on price? I mean, I think it's still worth it to follow up. I might just text them following up. I might not call them. It depends how off on price they are. If for example, the ARV is 250 and they're at 210, then it's a waste of time. You're just like, okay, you just want way too much money. But if they're like at 150 and you need to be at like 125 or 100,000 or something like that, then at least they're like kind of reasonable. Like at least they've kind of subtracted the rehab costs, which kind of makes sense, which means that I would probably still follow up. It really depends how outrageous they are. Like I talked to this guy today. He wants $2.8 million for his property. Dallas County tax appraisal has it at $900,000. So he's about $1.9 million off on price. Like, am I going to follow up with that guy? No. Like, no, that's probably some farmer guy that has this huge property. He thinks there's a gold mine underneath it. And he's just, he wants what he wants, which is totally fine. List it with your realtor, see what you can get, but it's not remotely reasonable.
Yeah. So on my side, what I do is I follow up with everybody. I always just pitch them a creative offer, and I'll just give you guys a 2-minute overview of how to go ahead and pitch a creative offer. So what you're just going to do is you're just going to I use a software like Deal Machine. I really like Deal Machine for this. Let's just take an address, log in. Oh, my assistant logged in. We were pulling scripts for you guys. So I got, not scripts, I got lists for you guys. So I'm giving you guys like tens of thousands of skip trace numbers from Deal Machine. So I'll give you guys that here in a few days. So I pulled you some really good lists. But long story short is put the address in here. So I got this random property. This is actually one that Ryan Binion wholesaled. So we'll plug it into here. And immediately when I'm on the phone with the seller and they're already super unreasonable with their price, I'm like, okay, so I think we're not going to be able to meet cash. Totally understand. I do have some other options that we can pursue. For me, I say, hey, I'm a licensed agent. You would just say, hey, I've been working in space a long time. I know there's some different things that we can try. And, immediately I pull up Deal Machine and I see if they have a mortgage. And I see right here, there was no mortgage. So I'm like, okay, no mortgage. I'm thinking seller finance. If there's a mortgage, then you think subject to, right? So guys, the funnel for creative is Try cash. If they say no to cash and they want more money, then you're going to do a novation. But we'll talk about novation in a second. If they have a mortgage, think subject to. If they don't have a mortgage, think seller finance. So in this case, they don't have a mortgage. So I say, okay, cool. Well, I can pay you $200,000 for the property. Let's say it's a $100,000 property. Actually, I probably couldn't pay that much, but say it's a $150,000 property. I'll pay you $200,000, sir. I'll come up to your price, but are you willing to, do terms? And then you pitch them on seller finance. Or the other way is, hey, can I take over your debt? So that's how I would approach those. And if they say no to all that, they don't want anything crazy, they just want cash, but they need a little bit more cash, that's when you go with a novation. So Ryan and I are actually going to be working on a novation after this call. And what a novation is you're pretty much wholesaling a property, but your end buyer is not really an investor. It's the MLS. You're listing it on market. It's a really interesting strategy where you're wholesaling to retail. And you can usually pay, just so you know, Olivia and everyone out there, you can usually pay 80-ish% of ARV. So when you're wholesaling, we're trying to buy properties at 70% of what they can be worth after you fix them up, minus the repairs. When you're doing a novation, we can usually pay about 10% more on average. So you get a property, Olivia, you reached out to a PPL person. You said, hey, the most I can pay is 200. They said, dude, are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? Like, I'm at 240. We're not even close. Then you say, hey, I have an interesting strategy. I can pay, 225, but what I need to do is I need access to your property for about 30 days. Going to come in there, fix it up, broom sweep, clean it. Just depends on the deal. Or maybe you don't even need access to the property. But long story short is you just say, hey, we're going to get your property cleaned up. I'm going to use my expert, agents to come and take beautiful pictures, list it on the market. They're going to sell it to a normal, beautiful end buyer, a family, or whatever that is. And then I'm only going to get paid if I do well. Anything above 225 is mine to make. But when we sell this house, you're gonna make 225. I'll pay for the repairs. I'll pay for the cleaning. I'll pay for the pictures. I'll pay the listing agents. I'll pay the buyer's agent. I'll pay closing costs. I'll pay everything, right? I'll pay everything. And I only make money above 225. How does that sound? You're pretty much getting the best agent in the world and a contractor, and you're not paying for it. That's the pitch. You can usually pay about 80% of ARV. So that's what Ryan and I are going to work out after that. So that is wholesaling in a nutshell. You start cash, you push that cash, you really, really, really try, you dig for the motivation. If it's not there, you got your 3 strategies. They really want cash and they only want cash. They don't want to do something super creative, novation. If they're open to subject to, they have a mortgage, perfect. If they're open to seller finance, they don't have a mortgage, they're willing to be the bank and make money over time, lower their taxes, seller finance. That's it.
Another thing with these leads that you guys are buying, keep in mind, like, we're looking for the 1% of people that are going to say yes. So do not call like 5 leads, 10 leads and be like, why don't I have a contract? Like, you need to call and talk to a lot of people, do a lot of follow-up. Just expect that. Have that as your expectation, as calling as many people as you can, buying as many leads as you can, and you will get a deal. But it will kind of just like randomly happen. Like, I think anytime that I've gotten a deal, I'm like calling everybody, following up, blah, blah, blah. I think like, oh, I'm not going to get a deal this week. And then all of a sudden, someone will just text me back and will be like, okay, I'll take it. Or all of a sudden I'll talk to this one person and I'll just discover that this person is actually really ready to sell right now. And it'll just kind of like happen randomly on like a Friday at like 5 p.m. So just expect to have to call a lot of people and buy a lot of leads, and you'll know as soon as you're talking to somebody that's ready to take a good offer on it. Like, you can, as soon as I talk to somebody and I know that they're like a motivated seller, you can tell on the phone. They'll say certain things like, I want to sell it right away, and they'll give you like a good price off the bat. As soon as they give you a good price and they want to sell it right away and they're ready to close immediately, I mean, that's when you go all in on the call. You'll get them eventually.
Exactly. All right, Ryan, let's get you calling.
Okay.
And then I'll answer questions in the chat. But let's get you on the phones.
Okay.
All right. So Ryan's gonna do some PPL. He's gonna call his leads. He's not gonna share his screen, but I can share my screen. He doesn't want to show you his leads. I'll show you all my leads. I don't care. Steal my leads. Just bring me the deals to dispo. Yeah, but let's answer some questions while Ryan gets set up here. So Peyton said, Ryan, how long were you wholesaling before you got your first deal? I know this guy like my brother, so I think he was wholesaling for about 6 months. And he joined some shitty guru courses, paid too much money at some stupid places, but that's how you learn. And he was trying different strategies, just trying to figure out what's good for him. PPL seems to be working really well for Ryan. Does that mean PPL is going to work for you, Peyton? Maybe, maybe not. Maybe you want to double down with cold calling. I was talking to Zach Ginn. He hates PPL. He loves cold calling, loves text blasting. So you can succeed anyway. You just got to choose one strategy and really run with it. But Ryan's just really good with PPL, and he's going to be hitting the phones here. So yeah, it took him about 6 months to get his first deal, and that was with us. Make sure to put the phone near the mic, Ryan, whenever you get someone on the phone.
Hello, Kenneth.
Yeah, man, ain't at home. I'm at Walmart.
Oh, you're in Walmart?
Yeah.
How was work today? You work long hours, right? Like 10-hour days, you said?
I work 10 hours a day. That's what I'm trying to tell you. I work 10 hours. I don't work 4 days a week, though. I just work Monday through Thursday.
What do you do for work again?
I'm a security officer.
Oh, security officer. Okay.
And a high-rise building downtown.
In downtown Dallas.
Yeah, man, Travel Club building. That's where I work at. Travel Club building downtown.
Oh, yeah. Interesting. They have you working long hours there, eh? 10 hours. Wow.
Yeah, I used to work 5 days a week, but they got me working 4 days a week, 10 hours a day.
Holy.
3-day weekend, every weekend. When I work at a part-time job on the weekend.
Interesting. And then I just wanted to ask you a couple questions, if you don't mind. I know you're at Walmart. I'll be quick. What was your main reason for wanting to sell the property?
I was trying to upgrade.
Sorry?
I was trying to upgrade. I got a new wife, and I had too many memories there from my old wife, and so that's 2 reasons I was trying to get out of there.
Oh, yeah. I think my...
My wife for 25 years. She stayed in the house 25 years.
Yeah, so when my partner Heather went and viewed the property, she said that, correct me if I'm wrong, but your wife passed away and then you have a new wife now, and you kind of have some like old memories there that you just rather move on and get a nicer property, right?
Exactly.
I understand that. That must be tough kind of living there and having the old memories and everything.
Right.
Okay, well, yeah, I totally understand where you're coming from with that. Did you take a look at the contract that I sent you yesterday by any chance?
No, I haven't had time.
Okay, no worries. I know you're working a crazy amount.
I'll look at it when I get home when I call you.
Okay, should I follow up with you in a few hours, or are you going to call me back?
I'll back by an hour or two.
Okay, sounds good. And yeah, if you have any questions, I mean, it's pretty straightforward. It's just a cash deal, $143,000, cover all closing costs. I changed the closing date for 30 days from now. So if you need more time, I can always extend the closing date. I'm going to work with you and, call you every few days and let you know what's happening. Have you sold a property before? Have you sold a property before? Do you know how the process works?
I haven't sold it, no problem. That's what I'm trying to say, so I can get it in a house.
Yeah, no, I just meant like way back in the day. Have you ever sold a property before besides this one?
No, I never decided to sell it because my current wife was happy with it. This was not.
Oh, okay. Well, just to explain how it works, because I know maybe you haven't done this before. The way it works is once we sign the agreement, I'm going to send this off to the title company. I'm going to give you the title company's number so you can contact them whenever you want. And in 30 days, we'll send all the money to the title company, and you can go there in person and pick up a check, or they can wire it to your account. That's how it works normally.
Okay, all right.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Sounds good. I'll wait for your. Sorry. Go ahead.
Okay. Let me call you back. I got to see what she will.
Okay.
I'll call you back in an hour.
Okay. Call me back in an hour. I'll wait to hear from you.
Dude, what a call. What a call. There's so
Yeah.
many things I learned off of that call, but do you want to go ahead and summarize before I jump in and say what I thought was absolutely incredible about that?
So, okay, so this guy, he wanted like $145,000 for the property. I sent him the contract for $143,000. Easy, done deal, right? You would think. Heather, the dispo person, went and viewed the property, and she's like, "Oh, well, I'll buy it off of you for 150,000 or something." So I'm like, "All right, whatever. I can get it for a little bit less. Maybe make 7,500 or whatever I can, 7,000 on it, which is fine for me." So I sent him the contract like yesterday. I saw that he opened the contract and looked at it, but then he didn't sign. So what I did is I called Heather and I'm like, "Hey, you went to the property, like what happened?" And then Heather, she's like, "Oh, well, yeah, actually I went to the property and blah, 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 blah." And she told me his real motivation that I actually didn't know. She's like, "Oh, well, actually, his wife passed away, and now he's there with another wife, and his son is still there. So they still have these old memories in the house, and that's his motivation to sell." So I was like, okay, that's really good to know. So then now when I called him and I finally got him on the phone, I wanted to bring all of that up again. I wanted to like put all of the reason why he wanted to sell up again in front of him. So I'm like, okay, so like, why did you want to sell? Oh, okay, that must be really hard that, you're living in a house where your wife passed away and, now your kids are there.
Wow.
So I'm just
you
like
knew the
reminding him of his
answer.
original.
You knew
Go
the
ahead.
answer, but you already knew the answer, but you were trying
Yeah.
to bring up those memories again.
I already knew the answer. Yeah, but I was asking as if I didn't know, but I
Yeah.
was just trying to bring it up so that he could say it out loud. He's like, "Yeah, my wife passed away, and yeah, this has happened." And then I validate his feelings, and I say, "Yeah, oh my gosh, that must be so hard. You're still living in that property, and you have all these memories. Wow." And then I kind of like circle back to like, "But I did send you the contract for 143,000. I can extend the closing date. We're covering all closing costs." So like I'm bringing up his motivation, bringing up the solution, exactly what he wants, and then he's saying, "Okay, I'll call you back in an hour. I'm just at Walmart," kind of thing. But if I just called him and just said, "Hey, did you sign the contract?" That's a totally different call. Like he's probably going to leave the call and he's going to remember what he just talked about with me, compared to me just being like, "Oh, did you sign the contract yet?" "No, I didn't. I'm thinking about it." Okay, bye. Like that, it's such a big difference if you can actually remind them of why they really wanted to sell.
That is incredible. Freaking awful. But what we're doing here, guys, is we're determining what people's motivation are. People don't sell houses cash quickly off market if there's not an underlying motivation. So what Ryan is doing is he's being a therapist for the seller, and this poor guy really needs it. What an awful experience. I can't imagine that. But yeah, makes a lot of sense why this guy wants to sell the house and get the heck out of there and upgrade. So that is very smart, is bringing up the motivation again and having the seller actually say it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'm learning too, guys. Because what I'll do is I don't like say like I would have been scared to ask that question. Like frankly, I would have been like, dude, I don't like when you said your wife died. I was like, fuck, like I got a gut punch from that. But so I would have just registered it and then kept it in the back of my mind. But actually making the seller saying and bringing it up in the conversation, having that really tough conversation takes your relationship with the seller to a whole nother level.
Yeah.
I like it. In a terrible way. I like what you did there. So hopefully you can help the guy out.
We're all just about convincing people to do what they want to do. That's all our job is. They want to sell. They have a reason they want to sell. It's my job to remind them of that and get them to do what they wanted to do. I mean, it's not, I'm not convincing him to buy a product that they don't want. It's like he wants to sell. I'm just trying to make his decision make more sense to him.
And I don't think he's getting a terrible price for that property, just from what
No, he's getting a good price for it.
Yeah. So He's getting a pretty solid price on that one. You're not like you're absolutely destroying him on price. And it's not MLS ready, right? Is it in pretty rough condition?
It's in good condition.
Oh, it's in good condition. Okay. Yeah. All right. I'll have to see that deal. Where's it
Okay.
at?
Try calling another lady.
Yeah. Where was that property at that you called?
This is in Mesquite, I think.
Okay. So a lot of sellers, you guys probably like, if it's in good condition, why doesn't he just list it on MLS? A lot of people don't want to deal with realtors. They don't want to deal with showing. They don't want to deal with random strangers walking. We have a lot of those where people just don't want people walking through their house. He could have a lot of sentimental items from his, from his past wife. Who knows the situation? We had one property where we wholesaled where the poor lady's husband passed away, and she didn't want people walking through the house and going through and just seeing his stuff and just messing with her house. So she just wanted to sell off market, even if it meant she sells at a little bit of a discount. She'd take a $10,000-$20,000 hit, maybe. But she's also saving a few months of her time, but because she just didn't want people in her house. So motivations, guys, can be for really any reason, even if a property's in good condition. I think I answered your question there, Peyton. But on our side, some of our buyers are buying those for long-term rentals. So for example, if we can sell that property for so if Ryan, if we're buying it for, let's say 150, we sell it for 155, we make $5,000, Ryan makes 7,500. Our investor, if he can buy the property for 155 and it rents for like $1,600, that's a great deal for him. Shoot, maybe I'll even buy that. So he's going to hold it as a rental. He doesn't have to do a lot of work to it. He doesn't have to fix and flip it. He just puts it on the rental market and, cash flows. Probably gets like a 7-8% cap. That's awesome. Beats the stock market. You get appreciation. You get depreciation. I mean, I may have to buy this deal. It just depends what it rents for.
As you'll notice, getting people to answer the phone is very hard. So make sure you're always like texting the lead, calling the lead twice, and then 2 hours later calling the lead again. And you basically want to harass them. I mean, it's basically what you have to do.
So Peyton, you're asking, yeah, you can look at properties two different ways. So I'll open up my screen, share my screen while Ryan is calling. Let's say we go to Deal Machine. Let's say we have this house here. Okay. Same property. We actually sold this one. So I think, let's just say ARV on this one was 220. So Google calculator. You obviously know this 70% rule. You take the ARV, you times it by 70%. This property needs, let's say, 60K of rehab. So you minus 60,000. Your offer is 94,000 on this house. Right? Maybe then you can sell it for 99. You make $5,000. An investor's going to get in there, spend a fortune, and probably only make $10,000-$20,000 after months and months of work. So not that desirable, but people do it. That's how America lives, and that's how this country runs. Or another way you can comp the property is, hey Max, this property you can use the 1% rule. If this property's fixed up, Max, it can probably get, I don't know, $1,500 in rent. Okay, so you take $1,500 in rent, you timed it by 100. Now you're at 150,000, and you said, Max, in order to get $1,500 in rent, the property needs 60 grand of work. What did we just get there? We got the same freaking number. Isn't that crazy? 1% rule and 70% rule oftentimes can work interchangeably. So you can look at deals as a rental, or you can look at them as a fix and flip. Doesn't always work. Some deals are better for fix and flip. Some deals are better for rentals. You'll sort of learn that the more you go. But let's see. I'm actually curious. What would this property rent for? Max, how do I determine what a property would rent for? Okay, super easy question. We're going to grab the address here. So 2522 Maryland Avenue. We're going to plug it into my favorite comping software, Propelio. We're going to log in. Throw it in here. And just like how you would comp a property for ARV by going to comparable sales and looking at what similar fixed up houses are selling for, which in this case, similar fixed up houses. I made up that.
Hey, is this Devin?
Hold on.
Hey, Devin, this is Ryan with Need to Sell My House Fast. I was just calling about the property on Volga. Are you still interested in selling that property, or what ended up happening with it?
I'm gonna list it in about 2 or 3 weeks.
Oh, you're going to list it with the realtor in a few weeks?
Yeah.
Did you already sign a listing agreement?
No.
No, you haven't. Okay. Was there an amount you're looking to get for it you couldn't get from other investors, or what happened? You wanted 135,000 for it? Okay. 135. And what can you tell me about the property? I'm just looking at some photos of the outside right now.
I was impressed with remodeling the property. The whole inside of the house been remodeled. The bathroom, the only thing is completely. I put the new flooring down, new stuff flooring down. The tile needs to go down in the bathroom. The kitchen and the new cabinets are like that. The countertops need to be replaced in there, but all the materials are inside the ceramic tiles, the wood countertops, and the new doors hadn't been installed.
Oh, okay.
The exterior ceiling boards. I was going to add a rack of ceiling boards. The ceiling boards are in the garage.
So you're like in the process of renovating it, and then why is it? It's I guessing it's not fully renovated yet. It still needs a little bit of work done to it, tiny bit.
Yeah, so 6 or 7 grand. It's 18,000.
Okay, about 16,000. Did you say? I can't hear you very well for some reason.
I said about 6 or 7,000.
6 or 7,000. Okay, that's not too bad. Okay. Let me see here. I'm just looking at some comparables right now. What, in your opinion, would be the after repair value of this property fully renovated with the 6,000 added?
220,000.
220. Let's see here.
Like my buddy has a house that's 3 doors down.
Mm-hmm.
It's valued at 200. It's valued at $200,000. Now my house has a master. The third master bedroom is 18 by 20. I spent about $15,000 and $15,000 in concrete work around that. That driveway runs all the way to the back of the property to that brand new Morgan building that I built. I spent about $10,000 on that building. There's an additional slab behind that house, a 20 by 20, 12-inch deep slab I built. I was going to build a mother-in-law suite back there. There's also a 10 by 10 deck on the back of that. All when you walk around the back of that property, all the back of there is concrete back there. So you don't walk on a dirt area.
Okay. I think we're fairly close on price. I mean, we're not like astronomically far. I mean, I think I'd be a little bit lower. Are you super firm on that? You're like, I need 135, otherwise there's no reason to go any lower kind of thing, or are you a little bit flexible?
Man, I'm making $70,000. How much money off this house?
Well, I personally think the after repair value is probably more like 200, maybe 210 tops. I think more like 200 personally. I'd have to look into it a little bit deeper and take a deeper look at it. But I'm thinking I'd probably be closer to like 120 or so.
They don't have a house in that neighborhood that has a master bedroom that's 18 by 20. They don't have a house nowhere on that block that has that kind of concrete work. All those houses that sideways, those houses that selling up for $200,000, those are 2-bedroom, 1-bath houses. So $200,000, almost $190,000. So I'm knowing by just the square footage of my house and the money I put into when I lived there. In New Central area, I rewired that house. All the plumbing was going out. Everything in the house. It's not the same house when I bought it. When I bought it, it wasn't low.
Is it a 2-bedroom or a 3-bedroom? It's saying 2 online.
3-bedroom.
It's a 3-bedroom. Okay, well that matters. Let's see here. I mean, it really depends on like how much work you've really done to it. So, is there any way you can send me photos of it? I'm sure you have a few photos on your phone, right?
I have to go online and and tell it through. That's my second house. I live in Orlando, so I'm not interested. But I still have a lot of my cars up there, a lot of my personal. I have a lot of stuff down there. I need to get one of them.
Okay, so you don't have any photos right now. What if I had if my partner wanted to come and check out the property in person? Does it have a lockbox, or would I just call you, or?
Out of town.
Sorry?
I'm out of town.
Oh, you're out of town right now. And doesn't have a lockbox on it or anything? No. Okay. All right. Well, let me run the numbers on this one. I think we're super close in price. Like if I came up to like 125 kind of thing and covered closing costs, like you're not going to come down at all. I mean, I can close in probably 10 days as long as title's clear.
What was that question?
I was asking if I covered closing costs and there's no realtor commissions, would you be able to come down to like 120, 125?
I already came down. Go online and look and see what you get for $150,000 in the area. Yeah, houses that's not even livable.
Yeah, I am seeing some properties in the area that are pretty rough shape, or they're not that bad. I mean, they just need kind of like flooring and stuff done to them. Yours does have the extra value of being a 3-bedroom. I do agree with you.
Mine got that extra value just having a conflict. I understand that I buy and sell houses for a living. That's what I do for a living. That's why I have to make a house in Texas.
Yeah.
So I understand how the word, and I understand that potential profit that I understand what type of equity I'm willing over. I looked at it when I made the price, I understood. I had everybody in my family saying I'm crazy. I said, well, when I sell it, I was going to be an easy sell because I'm going to roll over $60,000 worth of equity. And then you talking that if you sell it for 125, 135, let's see, you at 135 in the house. I mean, I'm sorry, 145, but I still at 50, 75 at 220. And me, I make me $60,000 instead of $10. Sell it real so fast, make it. It don't take houses don't sit long around that time to 38.
Yeah, really. I mean, it just really depends what exactly is the condition. If you had some photos and everything looked like I really only need to put 5,000 into it, then I would agree with you. It just some photos would really make a massive difference. I'm just saying, hypothetically speaking, if I ran my numbers and I was a little bit lower, like 130, 125 kind of thing, would you be flexible to come down there if I close quickly?
It's only one person I'm gonna come down for, and it's the lady next door.
Yeah.
And I agreed to her that if she wanted the house, and I told her the exact same thing, and then we're disagreeing over $1,500 for us to feel like she wanted to feel. But if she wanted that house, she got the same exact thing I just told you. It's the same exact thing. I think I told the lady next door, just because she's just my friend. I told her 127. I'm not called for money, and she came back and she wanted me to come down another $2,000 or $3,000, and she's still waiting.
Okay, so she was at 127. She tried going down 1,500. So let's just say 26 or whatever. So basically, you want more than that. So you'd be willing to come down to like 130, but you're really not wanting to go any lower than that if I cover closing costs. Is that correct?
Hey man, how much you trying to make on it? You can't get rich off one deal, man. It's still my house. I don't want to do it. I want to sell it.
I know, but it's only a tiny bit less for me covering closing costs. I know you calculated everything, but I mean, just to get the deal done, you wouldn't come down $5,000.
Just to get the deal done, you wouldn't just go out and pay $5,000. This is my thing. I have the same question here. You know, anytime you're looking at a deal with a potential profit of $65,000, and you're gonna look to get for an amount, that's crazy. Not to, and listen, it's different if the owner don't know. You're talking about the informed owner that knows what you don't. The materials, the things, the house are there. The only problem is I don't have the time.
Mm-hmm.
And if the time permits, and that's why I haven't listed it yet, because I'm going to go buy an RV and I'm going to come there and complete the house. I'll live in a large RV and I'll complete the house. But I understand that if I sell it right now, I'm losing $60,000, $70,000, and I'm battling with myself. Do I want to lose that? That's why I haven't hired anybody else on this. I get 10 people a day calling about that house.
Yeah. I mean, I guess if you're going to make so much, if there's such a big spread on it, I'm just like, why don't you do sell it yourself kind of thing is kind of where I'm coming from.
Sure, I'm a single dad with 2 kids, so I have a life in New Orleans. I just can't disappear to remodel a house. And I have 2 dogs. So I just can't disappear to remodel a house. But for $70,000, I'll take. I don't know how I'll make it work, but I'll finish that house and to sell it. That's why I have it. So if I don't get 100, if I don't get what I'm asking for, right, if I don't get what I'm asking for, I'm gonna finish what I was already doing. The house is all the walls. I had all the walls throughout the whole house retextured. I was remodeling the house because I was gonna move back into the property. And I decided, I have a nice house. I have a newer house in New Orleans, and I have more property there. So I don't think I want to live in Texas. So and the numbers are good on the properties where I can move the property and I can move the property and get what I need out of it, and still be able to allow somebody to roll over $60,000 worth of equity.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, it really depends on the current condition of the property. I would love to come check it out in person and see it.
Sir, I don't care what you would do. I'm not there, so and when I'm gonna get there, I couldn't tell you. I mean, I have things I gotta accomplish here before I leave to come there, but.
So let's just say I did buy the property for the $135,000. Let's just say I did. I'm still going to need to come by and see it. How would I come by and see it?
I just told you I should have some pictures. I have some pictures somewhere now. How do I have the access? I don't have it's in my iCloud, so I'd have to just go figure out how to access them. I have some pictures.
Okay, so you do have pictures. Okay, that'd be amazing. Yeah, that would really help because I mean, if it's in the condition that you're saying, then I think we probably have a deal here. But I don't want to throw around numbers without any interior photos and without seeing the property. So if you can get some photos from your iCloud or whatever, and they look as good as you say, then I mean I think we have a deal.
If I was you and I was spending $135,000 on a property and I had the owner on the phone, I'd probably have even already been looked at it. Just my perspective.
But how can I get inside? You said there's no lockbox or anything like that.
I would need to go. I would have drove by the property and looked at it, sir.
You would have just but I have online photos of the outside. I mean, I don't care what the outside looks like, so I care what the inside looks like.
I'm driving to the property anyway. I don't care about the online photos. I'm gonna look at that and still move to the property.
So you would have just gone inside somebody else's random property?
No, I said I would have went to the property and looked at the property, surveyed it from a legal distance, sir. You know what I'm talking about? Stand at the curb, stand in front of the house. That's the way I buy properties. I go to every property. I stand in front of the curb. I might even smoke a cigarette and eat lunch in front of it in my car. I want to get a feel of where I'm at and what I'm about to buy.
Just to get just to get a vibe of everything. I get it.
I might go to it 2 or 3 times. I might go to it early in the morning and in the evening. I want to understand what I'm buying. A neighborhood changes from daylight to dark.
That's true.
So I make sure I understand what I'm buying. And if you ain't went around, if you haven't went around there, it's a tragedy because you don't even know what you're buying.
Well, I haven't bought anything yet, and that's first time talking to you, so I plan on going there for sure.
I don't care what's going on the street before that, on the street outside that, but it's a type of peace and tranquility around there that I haven't lived in that house, and I haven't lived in that house full time in about 7 or 8 years. But I still keep it. I haven't wanted to part with it because I just love that the neighborhood is just that street is one of the best streets I've ever lived on in my life. And at 2 o'clock in the morning, you can hear a grasshopper hit his ass on the ground from 3 blocks away. It's just peace around. I don't care that you go 3 neighborhoods down and another 3 streets down, you might be in a whole nother world. But on that neighborhood, on that street, from one end down to the other end, we've never had a problem. Nobody ever. It's always been. It's a lot of homeowners on that street instead of a lot of renters.
Okay.
But everybody on that block is a homeowner, so the block is just kept at. There's no trash up and down. If you ride down the street, you'll see there's no trash. No trash nowhere on that block. And I ain't been there in 6 months, and I can tell you there's no trash on that block. If there's any trash, it's in front of my door because I ain't cleaned it up. But I'm like, they ain't gonna let no trash get around like that.
Okay. All right. So let me run the numbers. If you can send me some photos of the property, I'll text you on this number. Is this your cell phone number? I'm guessing, obviously, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So can I text you on this number? And do you think you can try and send those photos sometime tonight, possibly?
I'll see if I can find them. If I can find them, I just gotta go see how I access them. I have a different phone.
Oh, okay. I understand. Okay, so let me run the numbers.
When I get back to my daughter, she'll figure it out.
Okay, perfect. You think you're going to be with her later tonight, possibly?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. All right, I'll text you on this number, and then let me talk to my partner and run the numbers, and then once I get those photos, then we can possibly make this work.
All right.
Sound good?
Damn. It was a headache.
Dude, like, with some people, you want to be like really kind, and like if it was an old lady, I would not be talking like that. I would be like, oh, okay, Susan, like, okay, But if that kind of guy was like an investor, it still could be a deal. I mean, Redfin has it estimated at like 160 to 190. I mean, I see he says it's fully renovated and that he just didn't finish like the final touches of it, basically. And then he's saying that it's a 3-bedroom, which Redfin has it as like a 2-bedroom, so it's probably worth a bit more. I'm seeing properties fully renovated that are 3-bedroom going for like around 210,000. So it's like really, if I was an actual end buyer, fix and flipper person, and I saw some photos and it looked like how he described, I might buy it, because then I might be able to put it on market and like wholesale it, basically. But as like a wholesale cash deal, it just needs to be like a little bit lower. Like it's fairly close.
You're close on it.
We're close, but it just needs, and he's just one of those guys. You'll get these sellers that are like this all the time. They're just like, I want 135 and I'm not taking 130. I'm not taking 125. It's like 135 or
sometimes it takes a non-educated wholesaler to lock them up at 135, waste a month of their time, and then for them to follow back up with you and be like, all right, dude, I just want to work with a professional. And then you come in and you're the one. So yeah, that one I don't know. That guy's a bit annoying. So I guess you can just keep following up with him until you get your number. You guys are so close. I mean, what do you think? We would sell it for 135, maybe 140, so that we need at least a 10K spread for either of us to make any money that's worthwhile. So you probably need it 130 is the absolute max, preferably like 125. Is that where you're at with that one?
Yeah, I mean, around there. I mean, I think Heather can sell some deals pretty high, but it also depends on what the photos are because
Sure.
sellers lie.
Now
all the
you can
time.
always do the strategy of lock it up, which is what I was screaming in the chat, which it's fine that you didn't. Lock it up, go see the property, and then if it's actually in worse condition, then it's like, hey man, I'm sorry, I'm gonna have to back out of this contract unless you can come down to 130. I gave you a warning that this may happen. You didn't let me into the property. You didn't show me the right picture. So hey, I can do 130. The condition's worse than I thought. Or if you can't do it, no hard feelings. Here's my $10 option money. Let's part ways. So, are you
Oh
thinking
yeah,
about
I mean,
locking
I
up that?
definitely could have locked it up probably at 135, but
It's still too expensive for even to even bother.
it's a waste of time. Like I'm,
Always.
when you have leads that are already want a good price, it's like why waste your time with somebody like that?
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah. Just follow up with them. That's a good one to follow up with. We got a few questions in the chat. You want to do one more? You want to keep dialing? You can do one more good one and then bounce. I gotta get to the gym, bro.
I know I gotta go pretty soon too. What are the questions? Let's hear it.
Let's see. Not really questions. This guy asked about SoCal wholesaling. It's laws are going back and forth there, man. It's pretty crazy. I'm
Don't
not
wholesale there.
or wholesale there if you're licensed, because you'll have a huge advantage. You can probably still get away with double closes too, or just invest. But I don't know. I'm a big fan of being licensed and wholesaling. That's why I'm licensed. Doesn't take that long to get your license.
Any other questions? I can't see anything personally.
No one really has any specific questions. Guys, roll in the questions. Ryan's gonna have to dip here pretty soon. You don't have any other super hot leads that you're trying to close right now?
I already tried calling them.
Don't you have to call what's his name back? Dude, it's been an hour. It's been exactly an hour.
Already? No.
It's been it's okay. Maybe it's been 40 minutes.
I mean, he's the kind of guy where he's like, he's not super motivated. Like he's motivated, but not to the point where like I want to harass him.
Yeah.
like he's just like a reasonable security guard guy. Like if I just keep on pounding him, he's gonna be like, dude, screw off. Like you're being annoying.
Okay.
And you don't want to come across as salesy. I almost sometimes, for example, I'll tell you guys about this deal. So I had this deal under contract for, I think it was 180,000 or something, 185,000. I think we sold it to an end buyer at like 210 or something like that. And she went under contract. A week later, she's like, I want to go out of contract. Like, I want to cancel. Screw this, blah, 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 blah. And she was freaking out. She was calling the title company, crying and screaming, saying, let me out, like just freaking out. And what I was doing is I was doing the wrong thing. I was trying to be more like, no, we signed a contract. You can't back out, blah, 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 blah. And I had to like re-examine my strategy. And I had to like take a step back and be like, okay, everything that I'm doing is kind of just like pushing her and she's feeling overwhelmed. And she like just got fired from her job or whatever. So she was, I guess her perspective was she was just trying to stop anything and everything from happening because she was afraid of change. So my strategy went from, trying to convince her to sell her home to just being like, I took a step back. I was like, listen, we're offering you a really good price for your home. You're going to walk away with like 100,000 or more in your hands after, the mortgage and everything is paid off. So you're going to have this huge amount of money in your bank account. If you lose your job, it won't matter because you'll have that 100 grand. You can find a way better job. You have so many options when you have money. But if you don't take this offer, we can cancel it. But if you don't take this offer, you're not going to get another offer at this price. And you're not going to have that safety and security of that money in your bank account. And I was like, think about it over the weekend. It's up to you. Just take deep breaths, think about it, but really think about it because, if you cancel this, you're not going to get that opportunity again. So like, just think about it. We're going to move on and buy another property. We'll be okay. So, just think about it for the weekend and get back to me. She calls me back on Tuesday and she's like, oh, actually, I thought about it and I actually want to sell now. Okay. Yeah. All right. Like what? Like you were like crying on the phone, screaming and begging to get out of the contract. And then just by certain strategy, a few days later, she's like, okay, I'm down. Like, it's crazy what you can convince these people to do. Sometimes you just need to give them space and let them think about it. You really need to be like changing your strategy, and you really need to be thinking about, how can I best serve this seller? You know, like, for example, they might be freaking out about the process of change. Well, you need to reassure them. You need to tell them that, you know, you're the professional, you're going to help them, you're going to guide them through the process, blah, 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 blah. Or maybe there's somebody that's concerned about something else, and you just, maybe it's nothing to do with the sale of the property. They got some sort of family issue going on, and you just need to talk to them on the phone and be like, I understand what you're going through, and kind of like, you know, just work with them on it. So when you're talking to these sellers, just try and think, what kind of seller is this? What are their motivations? What kind of person is it? And then just kind of talk to them the way you imagine they would want to be talked to. If that makes sense.
Makes perfect sense. Nikki asked a question that's really interesting. Should we always go with percentages if it's a higher value house? So obviously the 70% rule works great for these lower value houses. In good neighborhoods, we can use maybe 75%. I've seen up to 78% in crazy times. But you usually want to stick within 70 to 75%. But she's asking, you know, on these higher value houses, let's say 600K ARV, 60K is rehab, do investors want to make that much? Or can we go with higher percentages in those cases? Hard to... I'm going to send you, Nikki, a fix and flip calculator I built for our investors, where you can put the numbers in and you'll see exactly how much they make. I think you'll be shocked, because the higher the expensive the house, the more expensive everything is. Your private money is going to cost a lot more. Your rehab is going to obviously cost a lot more, but let's say your rehab is fixed. Your time to rehab is going to cost a lot more, because you actually have to do really quality finishes. So that makes your private money more, your holding costs more, just everything. So your realtor costs are going to be more, your closing costs are going to be more. So it doesn't mean they're making that much more, but they are making more. So, you know, can you go higher? There's also more risk. So the more money, there's a lot less risk buying an $80,000 house for an investor than he's buying a $400, $500, $600 million house. So they want to make more money because they're putting more capital at risk. I know exactly what you're asking. You're like, Max, they're making 80K profit on a 60K house, but just on a percentage basis, they may be making less, right? So if you're buying a 100K house and you're making 10K, if you're buying a 600K house and you're making 60K, like percentage wise, that's actually the same for your capital at risk. So I would say the value unfortunately holds pretty true. I've actually seen it work backwards, in the sense that even more expensive houses actually have a lower ARV, because it's a lot riskier, and sometimes they don't sell as fast. That's another thing, they don't sell as fast. So sometimes even on these high-end $1 million listings, we're actually looking at a 75% instead of, we're looking at selling it at like 75% instead of like 78 or 80. Like it gets odd. So for now, I would say stick to it, but I'm going to give you a fix and flip calculator that you can use to work back on it. And what I like to look at, one metric, is how much an investor makes per month. So on average, an investor probably wants to make 10K per month on their flip. So if it's a 3-month flip, which is your typical shitty South Dallas framer, that's 100K, then they probably want to make at least 30 grand. They make 10K per month. That's a solid, that's a good day for these guys. But on a more expensive property, right, they're in it for 6 months. They only make 60K. Like, okay, they made 10 grand per month. It's the same amount, but like they put a lot at risk. So we'll look at it different ways on how much profit they're going to make per month, and that may change how you look at a deal. And then from there you can choose your ARV. But I would say, yeah, pretty much stick to it. These high-end homes are pretty tough to sell. That was a long-winded answer for saying, yeah, the percentage stuff still works pretty well, unfortunately. It's a really tough sale when you're trying to buy a house that, you know, could be worth 600K and you're offering, well, shoot, you know, what would you be offering? You'd offering 350, and the guy's like, dude, what the hell? Like, that's just what it costs, man. You could probably offer maybe a little bit more. All right. Can you explain the process after signing the contract? I believe dispo is taken. Yeah. So Ryan pretty much works with one of our dispo agents, and that's why I think all of you guys should find a really good dispo agent to work with. I have, 20 dispo agents at my company, but Ryan works exclusively with Heather, and pretty much he just gets a property under contract, sends it to Heather, and it's done. Heather's the one that opens up title. Heather's the one that submits option EMD money. Heather's the one that works with title on pretty much all that. And then it goes to Heather. Heather makes the packets. Heather makes our CMAs. Then she uploads it to Salesforce, and my sales team goes and sells the property, schedules open houses and all that. Does that mean Ryan's not doing anything? By no means. Ryan is always coordinating with the seller, communicating with the seller. He's the point of communication for the seller and making sure him or her is comfortable, understands what's going on. And then Ryan will also have to sometimes work on situations like, hey, I got to call the city because this property is not actually zoned correctly. Or, hey, I got to call title, Becky Powers on Parvia because they're having all these problems. So it's fairly hands off, but it's hands off until it's not. And then you're like, oh my God, to fix all these things. So anyways, guys, any final questions before we get jumping off here? I will say, guys, if you did stay until the end of the stream and you have not used the $100 free credit to ISpeedToLead, I think it's a no-brainer. I'm literally not even selling anything. It's like, go get free $100 credit, sign up and get $100 free. So that link is in the Discord. But yeah, have either of you tried or know people that wholesale commercial multifamily? Yeah, I've tried it, and it can be done. It's a little bit of shiny object syndrome, where you're like, oh, but if I wholesale $1 million property, I'm gonna make $100,000. Then I only need to do one deal a year. Well, yeah, that's the thing. Good luck doing one deal a year. Like, these deals take years. My mom's a commercial real estate broker, and she made an absolute fortune on a school. She sold one of the most expensive, I think it was high schools or something in all of California. Well, that deal only took 6 years.
Oh,
So, yeah. And then she had another deal she was working on for 4 years, and it fell out of escrow 4 years in. Imagine how you'll freaking feel at 4 years in and your deal falls out of escrow. So yeah, you can do it. A lot of people do it really well. Don't start there. It's very complicated. I would progress into that later. Just like how if you're an investor, you don't start by buying an apartment building. If you're a wholesaler, don't start by wholesaling multifamily. If someone's telling you to do that, then I don't know, they're probably selling you something, or they just don't know any better. Or maybe they have something that, I tried it. I was trying to help people do it, but you have a good JV partner at least on it. They get very complicated.
okay, I gotta go.
All right, I gotta bounce too. See you guys.